have given my whole life for this moment.
We will cleanse the African National Congress of all factionalist tendencies.
A wait so long, so agonizing.
I struggled for the people of this country. I struggled for freedom. They never did.
I've walked this road all by myself.
You must just find a way of dealing with the mosquitoes. You can't deprive yourself of fresh air because there are mosquitoes.
No going back, no turning around.
Mr. Ramaphosa is pushing so much, talking so much about clean government, is focusing on that.
When the storm has settled in your soul and realize the thunder is your heart.
And there'll be time when people will revolt. And if they revolt, we don't know what will happen, but all I know is that nobody will escape.
This should be a new deal that has a clear plan of action.
You know, it's time to win.
In a high-stakes game of political power, the stakes just got a whole lot higher.
We will cleanse the African National Congress of all factionalist tendencies. We will cleanse the African National Congress of all forms of divisions. We will cleanse the African National Congress of all forms of corruption. Uyabona manje comrades, uma siya kule conference eka December, siyothatha izinqumo ukuthi no more factionalism in the ANC.
Human beings are unique. There's no one individual that's like another in the world. Every human being is unique. I am one of every human being. I'm unique. What name I carry does not change me. In terms of the work I have done, I've done it as this unique individual. My record is there for everyone to see. I've done it without fear or favor. I've done it even without fear of the people we are mentioning, the monopolies.
2 candidates, 1 position. Leadership of South Africa's ruling party, the African National Congress.
The big challenge in South Africa is the fact that the majority of people are still poor. The army of unemployed youth is growing. The inequalities are growing. And of course, there are other challenges like crime, especially violent crime, and so on. So, unless we address these challenges, our view is that we are sitting on a time bomb. And there'll be time when people will revolt. And if they revolt, we don't know what will happen, but all I know is that nobody will escape.
The lack of economic growth and the continued poverty and inequality and indeed unemployment that continues to prevail in our country lead to those who have to be so greedy that they want to hold on to what they have, and those who don't have reach a state of desperation. And in the end, this causes fissures within our society.
With such a coveted position up for grabs, the battle lines are clearly drawn. But who will emerge victorious?
Mr. Ramaphosa is pushing so much, talking so much about the clean government, is focusing on that. While Dr. Nkosazana Dlamini-Zuma is talking about the radical transformation now or never. Maybe it means that she's focusing it more. She's focusing on the land more.
We've declared ourselves that we are in support of our leader, of which we have said and made it clear that we are supporting 100% Nkosazana Dlamini-Zuma for our president. We have looked into it as a branch as to what is it that we want, and we would want to see as the youth future of tomorrow that there is radical transformation.
We are here to build the African National Congress. And what we are saying as a Northern Cape is only one person who's going to build this African National Congress is Congress Cyril, with his credentials.
As the province, we have decided to support the names of all those on the list of Comrade Cyril Ramaphosa.
Cyril Ramaphosa is not a good candidate. He's going to take us 20 steps back, you know, because him and Pravin are actually having shares in every institution that is anti-transformation. You know, they've been part of the people who have been saying white monopoly capital does not exist, because in their heads they've been co-opted. Even in their way of living, they are no longer blacks. You know, they are out of reality. They are not in touch with the reality of a black South African. They cannot relate to black South African who are in shacks.
The issue of money is a challenge. However, the ANC has taught us that for any candidate to emerge is through the branches of the ANC. So it's not a matter of whether the person has money or not. So ours is to stick to the principle to say the branches will pronounce themselves, and the delegates to the branches will also nominate or elect the candidate whom they feel comfortable that will be able to push the agenda of the ANC. So whether money is there or not, the ANC will still run, and the candidates who are good for the position will be elected.
The showdown would be decided at the ANC's 54th National Conference in December 2017. A branch nominations process shows Ramaphosa has the edge.
Well, let's just take a look now at the breakdown of nominations that happened at the BGM PEC and nominations for each province. We take a look first at KwaZulu-Natal, which is indeed in Nkosazana Dlamini-Zuma's hometown. And there you can see she got 454 votes and Cyril Ramaphosa got 191 votes. Moving on to Cyril's hometown, you can see quite a different picture there. In Gauteng, 374 votes for Cyril Ramaphosa and 64 votes for Nkosazana Dlamini-Zuma. Now, moving on to Limpopo, we can see there's 104 votes for Nkosazana Dlamini-Zuma and 391 votes for Cyril Ramaphosa, a clear divide at most of these provinces. The Northwest, 291 for Nkosazana Dlamini-Zuma and 45 for Cyril Ramaphosa. And then in the Free State, of course, 44 for Cyril Ramaphosa and 209 for Nkosazana Dlamini-Zuma. We move on to the next provinces. Mpumalanga is seen as the kingmaker province in this instance, as there was 223 votes for unity, and those votes did not count. Nkosazana Dlamini-Zuma there got 123 and Cyril Ramaphosa 117. This is the only province where there is not a clear divide between the two candidates. In the Eastern Cape, Nkosazana Dlamini-Zuma got 61 and Cyril Ramaphosa got 423. Now in the Western Cape, Nkosazana Dlamini-Zuma got 13 there and Cyril Ramaphosa 121. And then the last province there, the Northern Cape, is Cyril Ramaphosa at 181 and Nkosazana Dlamini-Zuma at 11. Well, let's just take a look at the total tally of nominations that came through for the top two candidates there. Cyril Ramaphosa at 1,860 and Nkosazana Dlamini-Zuma at 1,330. Well, we do know that there are the additional votes. The ANC Women's League with the 60 delegates still having to vote. The ANC Youth League also 60 delegates there to vote. And then the ANC Veterans League with also 60 delegates ready to vote. The NEC has 86 delegates that also need to cast their votes. And then also the PEC's is 243, which is 27 delegates per province. So we do know that those additional votes can sway either way, but we'll have to wait until then to know who the final candidate is that comes up at the top for the ANC top spot.
But is the ANC Deputy President's victory a foregone conclusion?
I believe Mr. Mabuza managed a master swipe and a master stroke just before these elections. And I think if anybody knows Mr. Mabuza, they know that he's a key strategist. And often people have been calling him the kingmaker, and I think that got to his head. And he's playing king at this point in time. Never has it happened in the history of the ANC in the provinces that over 200 people just abstain from a provincial election. It cannot be.
We're saying we must put the unit of the organization first. That means a leadership of the ANC that we're going to elect will be achieved through consensus. Right? We're not going to contest one another. We're saying let's unite, let's put the leaders together, all of us, and say we accept this one must lead, this one must lead, this one must lead, and not contest. Because the consequences of a contestation are dire. We've seen them.
A big factor affecting candidates' support is their policies. Ramaphosa has come out guns blazing against factionalism and disunity. But then he goes and announces his slate for preferred officials.
Are supporting Comrade Senzo Mchunu hore abe Secretary General wa African National Congress. Comrade Naledi Pandor abe Deputy President wa African National Congress. Comrade Gwede Mantashe abe National Chairperson wa rena wa ANC. Comrade Paul Mashatile abe Treasurer General wa African National Congress. Team Erinyankangwe Aha Kiona Ribitsangor is the winning team. Kiona team eta shumang eta shokore iaha African National Congress.
Ramaphosa's slate call sparks a backlash. It is the branch's inalienable right to select candidates.
No, I'm not announcing any slate because I don't have it. I'm not a factionalist. The branches are the ones that nominate. You can't be a candidate and also be nominating people. You must, in the ANC, you allow the branches of the ANC to nominate. You allow conference to elect. And then, if you are elected, you work with the team that the branches of the ANC elect. You don't choose for yourself in the ANC. The branches and conference will elect, and you must be ready to work with whoever that conference elects. You must work with anyone. You must work with everybody. You can't pick and choose, I'll work with this one and not that one. No. ANC, you work together.
Dr. Dlamini Zuma is concerned about the SG being in Ramaphosa's slate. What would Dr. Nkosazana Dlamini Zuma do if the SG was a candidate? Leave now, is in another list of somebody else. If there was a GM17, what would it? People don't imagine these things because possibility with the stampede that we're having, you would as well have a GM17 now contesting to be president. Would they say, no, the SG can't be contesting the position of a president because it's Secretary General? I think that is one thing that should be thought through.
So we don't want to call it a slate. We wanted to call a team of people who will be able to take the ANC to the next level of our struggle. Our people did not struggle for the right to vote only. They also struggled to be part of the economy. So the current epoch is that of economic freedom in our lifetime. So this team, led by Nkosazana, we see it as a team that will usher us into that direction.
One of the things I find lacking in the so-called unity slate is a diversity of youth and a diversity of gender. Once again, we only have, in the so-called unity slate, we only have 2 women. And I wonder what message the ANC is sending out then about the advancement of women. I think that's a very disappointing thing we've seen, is the question of gender diversity being sacrificed on the altar of the so-called unity slate.
Everybody who's elected, whether you perceive a slate or not, all of them are bona fides members of the ANC. And they followed the strictest criteria of through the eye of the needle. And that states, even in terms of the constitution, to qualify to stand for the top 6 and the top, National Executive Committee, how many years you should have spent in the ANC. And all of them, they passed with flying colors because the Electoral College that oversee that process have actually given a green light.
The challenge with factions and the challenge with slate politics is when the loser takes all, you can be incredible as a leader. But if your slate doesn't make it, the winner takes all and you lose out altogether. That's a mistake that the ANC had made, because when the Zuma slate won 8-9 years ago, everyone that contested with Zuma had to leave the party, such as Mr. Mutante and former President Thabo Mbeki, and that's a danger with slate politics.
There's another policy that neither candidate can afford to ignore: radical economic transformation. And Dlamini Zuma is a vocal proponent.
The decision was taken about almost 5 years ago now to transform our economy radically. Decision was taken in Mangaung by the ANC conference. So if you are the ANC president, you are going to be, together with your team, implement ANC policies. So that's why my campaign is about that, because that's an ANC policy.
While Ramaphosa has adopted a more cautious approach. However, a late change in his tune is widely seen as playing to his rival's gallery.
What we are now supposed to do is to speed up economic transformation, so that Abantu Bethu, they must become owners and controllers of the economy of their own country. And local comrades, when we say they must become owners and controllers, we are not talking about the select few Lapa Phezu. We are not talking about certain families. We are not talking about certain individuals. We are talking about our people as a whole. We don't want to end up with slogans. Haria ko conferencing ya rena ya December. Raise a strategies, real workable strategies on how our people are going to be economically empowered.
But to what extent will the candidate's stance on radical economic transformation impact on the election outcome? With an eventual shot at becoming SA president, the hot topic is not going away anytime soon.
We expect Comrade Deputy President not to identify himself outside the collective of the African National Congress. The policies of the African National Congress is the radical economic transformation. So he will have to promote and defend that resolution of radical economic transformation. So if he is going to go out and speak against the radical economic transformation, we will not be allowed to be led by a person who is against the policies of the African National Congress. Because we are sitting on a time bomb. If we don't implement it, our people are going to revolt against the African National Congress.
We expect her to be firm on radical economic transformation. We expect her to be firm on the provision of free education for the poor and the children of the working class. We expect her to empower women, because our mothers can't only be reduced to domestic workers and housewives. They must also be employers.
The radical economic transformation issue does not escape the attention of opposition party leaders either.
Many people say these investors will go because you are scaring them, they will live with their things. What is the point of having them here if we cannot eat this food? We can only smell the food. We have no access to this meal. The bosses are eating alone. The bosses must begin to eat with their people. Otherwise, they can take their food and go, because this food is not benefiting anyone here. We are only eating the crumbs that fall from the table. And that's what we black people are fighting over.
But which candidate is most suited to leading the party?
Well, let's just take an insightful look into the top candidates for the ANC presidential place. Well, we take a look at who is Matamela Cyril Ramaphosa. Firstly, he's a billionaire businessman investor. The next point there, ANC deputy president since December of 2012, and then he became the SA deputy president since May of 2014. Also, just saying, he was born in Soweto, Johannesburg, on the 17th of November 1952. Also has a B.Proc degree, which is a 4-year full-time university law course at UNISA in 1981. He got that degree. Now, the ANC chief negotiator in South Africa's transition to democracy. Also, the next point there, he founded the National Union of Mine Workers. Our next candidate there, it is Nkosazana Dlamini-Zuma coming up next. We take a look at her profile. She was born in Pietermaritzburg in KwaZulu-Natal on the 27th of January 1949. The next point there, she's got an MB-GHB degree at the University of Bristol in 1978. Now, that degree is a Bachelor's of Medicine and Surgery. Also, the African Union Commission Chair from October 2012 until January of 2017. She's the SA Minister of Home Affairs from 2009 until 2012. And also, she was the SA Minister of Foreign Affairs from 1999 till 2009. And then also taking a look there, the SA Minister of Health from 1994 until 1999. Well, those are your two top candidates for the ANC presidential slot.
Both contenders have skeletons in the closet. But what impact, if any, will this have on their support base?
Cyril Ramaphosa was very key in the Marikana massacre. But even during that time, as a rich billionaire, he has failed to even go to the community, meet the widows, offer an apology, but not only that, make a personal contribution to the funds that help the young South Africans who are left there fatherless to be able to go to school, at least afford medical health care. So talk is cheap. Action speaks louder than words. And as leader of government business, not only has he failed to engage the opposition in a meaningful way, he has failed to act when action was required.
I would have been aware if there had been any or information relating to Mrs. Nkosazana Dlamini-Zuma. I mean, I was tasked to go and get the dirt on Mr. Mazotti, one of the Carney directors. In so much that we would, for a 3-week period, when they throw their rubbish out, we would go and collect it, sift through it, in order to get some dirt on you. Not physically dirt, but dirt as in information. So if there had anything been on him funding the ANC or the Nkosazana Dlamini-Zuma, I would have known about it. I investigated this man for a period of 2 years, so I would have been aware of it. No, I don't. know anything.
All the years from 1994, or since the unveiling of the ANC, nobody has ever said, who is this Nkosazana Dlamini Zuma? Because she was in exile. She joined the ANC during that time. There was no Zuma in her life. When she joined the ANC, she joined the ANC as an individual.
In its 105-year history, the ANC has never had a woman president.
In the same manner that Comrade Nkosazana Dlamini Zuma had said that she will accept the outcome of the National Elective Conference, regardless on whether she wins or loses. And I've been many times with her where she said, I'm there to serve, and if I have to serve following another leader that has been democratically elected, I will do so. But by the same token, she expects, if she wins, all the other candidates to fall in behind her and to follow her then as the elected, democratically elected leader.
There's also an unspoken tradition that the deputy is considered next in line.
When you elect a deputy, I'm saying, you should have succession in mind. Okay, you should have succession in mind. If you think that that person you had in mind is not the right candidate, please give the organization an explanation so that there's a peace of mind in the movement. There's no free-for-all.
Whoever wins will take over a sharply divided ANC amid a sluggish economy. But given the caliber of contenders, it's clear that either one could be a worthy winner.